It is November 13th, 2013, and this is Boots on the Ground. Ooh, pick up there. I am Gimbal B, your host, and joining me tonight is, I guess, a bunch of D-Uni people and Leoso and so we'll go in first because, and this camera's all messed up. He's on that side.
No, I'm that way. I'm that way. There we go.
How's it going, in?
I'm good.
Cool. Also joining us is Denny, celebrating his new patch.
Yay!
How's it going?
I got a new patch. What have you got?
I've got a dust show.
Oh,
That's
snap.
going
Shots
well.
fired.
Gone well.
Cool. Also joining us is Leoso. How's it going, Leoso?
Good.
Cool. And Castor making his return. How's it going, Castor?
Pretty good, thank you. And thanks for having me again on your show.
I like you too, man. I like you too. And finally joining us for the first time is, I guess, Denny's right-hand man.
Director of Diplomacy is Rivera's official title. So say hello, Rivera.
Hello. Thank
How's
you
it
for
going?
having me. Doing good.
Cool. So this first part is just going to be, we're going to look at 1.5. But before we go to that, I just want to give a quick shout out to DS. He did a fundraiser this weekend for Quick Gloves to support him so he could spend time with his new child, who unfortunately is going through, or struggling to survive, I guess would be one way of putting it. So yeah, shout out to DS, raised over 3,000 or about 3,000 this weekend. So about 8,000. Oh, these bloody hiccups. About $8,000 total going towards Quick Gloves and his family. So big shout out to them. If someone wants to do like a round of applause on the Google effects. Thank you, Eden. But
I was
yeah,
prepared.
You trying to start the slow clap there, Caster?
just
Yeah, well done to everyone on Drunk Night. It was a good move.
yeah, and those are still open. I will put links down below where you can donate if you're interested in donating. But yeah, I guess we're just going to move on to 1.5, and then next half will be other stuff that's been happening this week. So 1.5, we're just going to go through the patch notes. People liked it when I just went through everything, so we're going to go with the Neocom changes first. Just going through it. By default, it now opens to the Neocom when you go into menus or exit a battle, as opposed to just being in your quarters. Like, people's thoughts on that?
I don't think it was absolutely a huge necessary thing, but it makes the Neocom more obvious, and obviously it's nice to see the front of your Merc finally.
I like the front of the Merc. It just allows people to get into the match. As soon as they're out of the match, they can get straight back in.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like this change. I mean, if you check out this, oh god, no.
What? I think I dated a girl that looked like that. Hang on.
That's a sexy look.
Oh
That's why I
That does
dated.
look a bit frightening, I gotta say. Any 5-year-old, that's some pretty high octane nightmare fuel right there.
yeah,
I had to roll the lens
exactly.
for that purpose.
Yeah, definitely the game has become somewhat more uncomfortable since the patch because of this change, but overall, yeah, I mean, it's good. It's minor, but it creeps me out.
Okay,
It's not affecting him in any way.
fair enough. Next one is relevant tips now have been added to the fitting screen, and I've noticed these, but I haven't really needed them because I already know what I'm doing. But Danny, have you heard any feedback from new players about this?
It seems positive. I mean, I went through it myself. It's very similar to some of the suggestions that I sent to CCP myself a few months ago. As I understand it, they're going to iterate a little bit further on that. If you notice at the moment, if you go through the MPE now, there's basically only 3 tasks that provide you with stuff, which is also very good. Giving the player some stuff is always good. And they're going to expand on those 3 things towards other tasks as well. So buy a scanner, use a scanner, I suppose, that sort of thing. So this was, as a first step, this was a very good first step. But obviously I'm going to be keeping a close eye on that because it's my particular passion, is anything that helps the new players. But as a start, I'm all for it. It really worked.
Anyone else?
I think Dust's tutorials are officially better than Eve. They don't throw a wall of text at you, and they just give you like a couple sentences. Do this, and we'll give you things. That's it.
Well, that's also probably the nature of the game. You know, it's a Twitch FPS, so you know they don't want to be messing around and just there's a gun, shoot people. So.
It's still a better tutorial.
As a foreigner, I have a little side question. What's a Twitch FPS compared to a normal FPS?
Well, you know, it's Twitch is just a phraseology for the kind of player that would play an FPS that just goes straight into it. You know, they don't.
I guess it's like faster paced and more about
getting people in as quickly as possible.
And it's more about aim than teamwork. I guess you could say more about like personal skill over working as a team.
Yeah.
Well, but the game has moved away from that, hasn't it?
Well, he's not really talking about the game itself. He's talking about the player that's coming from like Call of Duty or something like that.
Okay.
Okay. Shall we just keep on with the new player experience in general then? Talking about new tutorials, new task-driven things. I mean, I haven't had this at all, so I'm kind of curious about what it is like now as a new player joining the game.
Well, without actually having sat down and watched someone new from, actually watching them in the room, and just looking at it compared to what it was before, it is considerably much better. It doesn't seem as dense. It doesn't seem as convoluted about how everything goes on. I'm hoping that the next iteration of it is going to start including on the fitting screen percentage changes, explaining percentage changes as skills go up. So I would like to see something like a miniature EFT built into the game. So if you, for instance, they showed skill, if you went onto the skill tree and it said weaponry, let's say assault rifle operation proficiency, for instance, it would show the damage output of what your weapon would be before you pressed the SP button, before you spent the SP. So then you could better gauge what that skill is going to do. So it's all about giving the players context. As someone that trains people in his job, if you train people, you need to give them context as to what it is that they're going to do. Otherwise, it's just words.
It's nice how they, at least with the tutorials they have now, it's not, like you said, a whole wall of text and you don't know what's going on. They stripped it basically to what the bare bones you need, and then that's all you got. Little by little.
I was bored one Monday evening at work, and I did some stuff on my iPad and I sent it off to CCP, and I basically said, the first thing you've got to remember is that anyone that's going to play Dust already has played an FPS. So that's half this job done. So you don't need to tell them about a grenade. You just need to tell them which button fires it. So they know about that stuff already. So the MP, what there is now, is a lot less dense because they've made the correct assumption about the kind of player that's going to take the time to download Dust 514. That they're someone that's played in FPS before at some point. They're not after the Hello Kitty crowd. Although Hello Kitty themed dropsuits would sell a lot.
That's what the Quaif ones is, isn't it?
Yes.
And we can talk more about Quaif suits later, but
Yeah.
overall, though, it's a massive improvement, you would say.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it's not something that they can look at it and go, all right, we've completed it now. It's like, no, you haven't. You've made a very good first step, and it just needs to be built on. So if they, say if they had this first time they had 3 tasks to perform, if say every build they added another 2 or 3, I think within 4 months with doing very little work, in one dense group, they'll have built up, as the OSA says, probably a much better tutorial system than Eve has got. But I hear that they're going to be doing some work on the tutorial in Eve as well, so who's to say?
Okay. Round of applause, Eden.
Eden doesn't like the new player experience. Tell us why, Eden.
I like the new play. I haven't tried it, so I can't really comment on it.
Oh no, I was like hoping you'd do the Google effect thing.
I did do the Google effect thing.
Did you? I didn't hear it.
Yeah,
Oh.
I did. Did no one else hear it? I'll do
No.
it again.
There we go. Okay.
So, thumbs up there from CCP.
Oh, it's because my mic was muted. If I mute my mic while doing it, it doesn't go through.
Ah, right.
Silly Google.
Okay. So I guess jumping back up these lists of changes, the next one would be Squad Finder. Who wants to jump in
I'll
on the
let
Squad
someone else.
Finder?
I'll do it.
Go for it.
This
Leo.
thing's awesome. I love it. It tells me like whether or not I have my Corpus squads, and then it also tells me whether or not I can join them immediately, or that I just have to wait for them to get out of their game. And it's just, I can't pimp it enough. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, anyone else? Come on, speak.
I mean, I imagine the D-Uni people here will have played around with it a
we
lot.
love it. We love it.
Yeah, I love it.
Another nice thing is it tells
I've
you
already put out a court mail about using acronyms for various stuff. So we've now got players that can group together quickly to do faction warfare. You just put FW in your squad name. Obviously, most people know we have a PG-13 language thing within the court, but if someone makes a squad finder, that's public, that anyone can join. I've told them to either choose to put the PG-13 warning in there, so people know before they join, and if they haven't put it there, then don't expect, if someone starts swearing, don't start shouting at them because you didn't tell them. So
That's good to
I'm
know.
just expecting people to use a bit more common sense now, that sort of thing. Obviously, anything internal within Dust University, we have the same rules, but there's a lot more people out there than play just in Dust University. Apparently.
But I have to keep my sailor talk in check if I'm ever with the Dust Uni guys.
Well, that's what, that's, a lot of people are attracted to us because of it. We do have these rules. Obviously, we got a couple of people that swear like a trooper. But
I don't know. I like my creative cursing, but we're a bit off topic.
I have to say, it's actually, when they first announced that you could put names in it, I didn't think people would be doing something like that, but it's really interesting to hear that people are actually using the names like that, because I've only done public ones, and it's for the faction warfare thing, because I really, Mimitar have just been getting stomped on, so you have to go into Squad Finder and find a squad before you go into a match, because otherwise you will just get completely destroyed. And it's really useful to just see people listing Mimitar squads open. Sometimes you get terrible ones, but it's much nicer than just going into public matches.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I sent out a mail about a naming, coming up with a system for naming things. So we've got things like PG-13, FW for faction warfare. So if you want to you just put PG-13, FW, Galante, proto suits, or advanced suits or above, and that tells you everything you need to know about the squad.
I named mine Potato.
Yeah, well,
It filled up in 30 seconds.
it did. Nothing to do with the fact that it says Rivera, squad leader. Nothing to do with that at all.
Maybe.
But, I've also noticed people using them for things like when people are streaming, or when they're doing videos, or like people put them on Twitter. They'll say my squad name is X. You can come and join.
Yeah.
So
Well,
people are.
this is CCP giving us tools and then leaving us to do with them as we wish.
Yeah, like people are using it for recruitment as well. I've seen a bunch of squads for that.
Yeah. And I spoke to Fox4, another bore in one of our comms channels, and I was saying how much of a community building tool it is, and they're like, going, yeah, that's what we're going for. So, I know that they're particularly proud of the Squad Finder. So, and I consider it one of the most important advances for community growth in this game. So, it's a big plus from me. I think everyone. If anyone actually finds a problem with it.
I think. Well, there is a problem at the moment, and it was worse on day one, and then they increased the time of the refresh. Yeah. Where it switches back to the left-hand side after a certain amount of time. Yeah, top left.
Yeah.
That isn't meant to be a thing. Like, it's not supposed to switch back. That's just a bug, which they're squashing. But day one, it was pretty bad. Like,
Yeah, it was like every 5
could
seconds.
just use it.
And then they expanded it to 30 seconds, 15, I think, and now it's 30, isn't it? Something like that.
20,
I actually
something
wonder
like
how stuff like that goes past QA, because it's pretty obvious.
From
Don't-
what I heard,
don't-
it was an unrelated feature, or an unrelated change to that which affected how the refresh thing worked. So it was working fine for them when they were testing it, but someone else made a change to something else.
Yeah,
That
Careful.
you'll find that happens a
Be
lot.
careful about shitting on Q&A. Fox 4 may find you and chew you out.
I have to be careful now, actually, because a bunch of the Dust Q&A people live in Glasgow, so I don't want to get shanked.
Sure.
Oh yeah, how did the Dust and Eve meet go?
It went good, aside from the fact that I wore a World of Warcraft t-shirt, which was a bit of a stupid choice.
You troll.
I didn't even notice until I got there, that was the
level
thing.
troll. Oh man, I can't believe you did that.
Oh, it was fun though. People had good times. It wasn't as crowded as the last one, but last time a CCP employee turned up.
Ah.
And he had goodies to give away, so there was a lot more people because of that.
Always got his toys.
Yeah. Hopefully we get... I really want like a Newcastle dev to come up for the next one, because maybe they'll bring like a dev kit for Valkyrie or something. We can go play that. That'd be pretty cool.
Well, I mean, Valkyrie's just gone. Well, Oculus Rift in general has just gone to the top of my must-buy list when it comes out.
I think that's true of everybody. But
Well,
we'll keep on
not
with
only
the...
just Valkyrie now, but also Elite Dangerous is going to have it. And that'll
Okay.
be awesome.
But we'll get back to Squad Finder. Last point I want to ask is, do you think you've been tagging squad names with things like PG-13 and which faction you want to fight for and stuff? Would you like to see that as options you can tick so people can filter squads out, or think it's okay as it is right now?
I think it would be
Personally-
good.
Yeah, you go ahead. Go ahead, Rivera. I'm talking too much.
No, I think it would be good to be able to pick out like PT13 and what faction warfare you want to pick.
I don't know if we really need it, though. We can...
No,
that
it's not a
already.
priority.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be nice when they add it, but it's as long as they've got enough letters for the actual squad name, then I think we're fine for the time being.
I imagine that'll become more of an issue when there's more people playing.
Yeah.
Because then
Because, like,
Yeah, there isn't. There's like maybe 20 squads up at a time that are open or something. Whenever I look,
Hmm.
Yeah.
so when that goes up to like 100 or 200, then
Well,
They're gonna figure
we're
out the
already
refresh
getting.
bug by that time.
Yeah, we're already getting. I'm personally already getting inquiries from Eve-based faction warfare corporations asking for mercs. So, obviously, I can't, because of our neutrality stance as such, I can't push a particular empire over another one. So, we do have a faction warfare section in our forums. So, I've told the people who have contacted me, send me a link to your forum post about it, and then our mercs, as far as faction warfare is concerned, in Dust University, our mercs are free to fight for whoever they want. Because it's just impossible to police. let them go rabid on the universe.
Ivy League and the neutrality. How quaint.
I know. I know,
Okay.
but there's no standing hit for the moment, for the time being, in faction warfare for Dust mercs, and I don't think there will be ever. So, for precisely that reason, because they're mercenaries, they're free to fight for whoever they want
Well,
and
we'll
get
see.
paid, hopefully.
But for now, let's go over the rest of these patch notes. The next one would be new war points getting added in, and I guess we can just talk about this in general. Like, how do you feel about all the different war points being added?
They didn't really
Pistons are
break
overpowered.
orbitals.
I love
What?
them.
Anyone have any particular like things that they like about them, or
I like the
The
equipment
headshot
story and the counter hacking the most of all.
Oh
Yeah, counterattacking, yeah.
Why that wasn't in from the beginning, I just can't understand.
You do get quite a lot for counter-hacking, like with S Squad and Defend Order Up, you get 92.
Yeah,
think.
I mean, the Minmatar lodges are just gold dust for that. Yeah, if you've got a Minmatar logi, you're going to get liked a lot.
I think the Intel assist was maybe a little too powerful. More or less, there's 18 war points in a squad per kill with the scanner, and scanners are such a powerful tool anyway. I
do
think
you
maybe that
feel
should be
like that's gonna go away when people start using damps more?
Yeah, yeah.
maybe.
Yeah, because you got to remember, most people have completely ignored the active scanner
Yeah.
and the dampers because there wasn't any benefit to them. Now the active scanners are working and they give a lot of war points. It's actually worth your time to take the SP to damp your player down.
Yep.
So I actually think somewhere along the line it might be a good idea for someone that's got a scout who's got a very heavily damped suit to get some war points for avoiding a scan. Not as high as Intel Assist, but just to well done for spending the SP to get your damps down that low, because you have to get the damps on a scout,
guess,
even on a scout, pretty low to be not invisible.
To make that actually more usable, I would say if you kill a guy who fails to scan you, you should get like plus 10 war points or something like that.
Yeah, like just avoiding a scan is such a passive way to award
Well, yeah,
war
no, but I mean,
points.
something, we'd have to talk about the mechanics of it, but I think there should be some sort of reward for putting SP into it.
I think indirectly there is already a reward you avoid getting killed.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a pretty good reward actually.
Although you're still visually seen, so
Oh, yeah. It's not like
in a lot of suits you're sacrificing quite a lot of HP.
yeah,
to
you're seen.
damp.
You're seen for the moment. Yeah.
Although I have noticed that you can just like walk alongside people, and because the field of view is pretty small, they just won't see you.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is. I've done plenty of things with a damp scout, and I've taken the roundabout way and gotten behind people, like huge groups of people, and taken them all out with an SMG. So,
Yeah. Not bragging, but Okay, it is, but this with a profile damped scout suit, as you can see in the lower right corner. And I mean,
6 and
it's
0.
Oh, that
Yes.
not actually displaying for me for some reason.
oh
I can't read it.
If you click on it, it'll become big. So.
It showed
Oh.
for a
wait,
second.
I can zoom in. There you go.
Oh, it's just showing your face. I don't know why it's doing that.
I don't.
Only
Well, you went
one
26
headshot
and
kill.
0. So
It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing it. It's yeah, nice.
I'm still only one headshot. I'm disappointed.
I'm playing
Oh,
with
I
a
know.
gamepad, okay?
I play with the gamepad. I'm Headshot
That's
City.
just because you're a show off.
that's the reason pistols are overpowered, because they have a headshot bonus. Which leads to my next point: the headshot kill war points, 60 war points.
Makes sense.
Well, yeah.
You already get a massive bonus for shooting people in the head. I can see why they put it in. It's
Yeah.
just extra war points.
The explanation for this, of course, is not, oh, you're an awesome shot, you have some more war points. It's because you prevent the enemy from reviving their teammate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although on
Yeah.
that line of thought, why don't they award you when you kill them with a grenade or a forge gun or a mass driver?
Or when
I
they're on
think
the ground,
that's
you
a-
just shoot them a bit.
I think that's a good idea, generally speaking, to like terminate a clone and not just incapacitate them.
Yeah.
Such a hard word to say.
Don't say that. Mass drivers are going to come back. Don't do that.
Well, to be fair, it takes like 4 bullets from an AR to actually... Like when they're on the ground, you only need to put a few into them.
I want to see what happens when a full explosive team, like grenades, remote explosives, and mass drivers, goes into a PC battle.
You ever
I've
played against
clearly
Outer
never seen
Heaven?
PC.
It's,
That was
Outer
like
Heaven
vetted for
is
like 3 months
nanohives and grenades. And ARs. Or laser rifles, but it's mostly just nanohives and grenades. That's
That
what
sounds
fighting Outer Heaven
horrible.
is like.
I hate grenade spam.
It's like
So
orbitals.
annoying. Yes, it is. It's really powerful.
But
It scares the shit out of you.
unfortunately that wasn't in the patch, so we'll move on to the last warpoint thing, which was transport assist, and I haven't noticed this at all.
Haven't noticed it either.
I've
Yeah, I
noticed
don't-
it.
I'm going to say, because Revera's a pilot as well, so she's probably...
Yeah, I'm a crappy pilot, so don't go on a dropship with me. Except for when I'm drunk, then I'm really good at it. Then I can do like backflips and everything and don't crash. Yeah, I dropped a guy off at CRU and he went to hack it and got like 18 war points, I think. And it was like transport war points. And I was like, yay, I did something.
Oh, so they do work then.
Yes,
Yeah.
they do. I think actually in PC matches they would be more useful, because in public matches I don't really want randoms in my vehicles. I really don't.
Yeah.
No, they tend to steal them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main problem. The randoms do nick your ride in the pub matches, but in the PC
Yeah.
matches they don't. You know, it's a squad. You know. So, but yeah, as long as the pilots and the drivers are getting something from it, then that's fine. I mean, I've got a couple of them myself because I have a cheap. I have a Saga that I got with the Elite Pack, so I use that to transport people around a lot. So I do get some. I have noticed that they work. So they are there, but I'm not a dedicated driver. So I would expect someone that's a dedicated LAV or a dropshoot pilot to actually see them a lot more. I would hope they would anyway.
it makes the dedicated driver actually viable now.
Hmm.
Well, more so than it was.
Okay, that I agree with.
Okay. Overall, warpoint changes are good.
Mhm.
People would
Yeah.
say.
Yes.
I'm spotting a theme with this patch.
It's a good touch.
We didn't. They didn't screw anything up.
Yeah.
Except for like day one
Is
squad
Danny trying to
finder.
hint
but
that his patch was a
They
set
fixed
patch?
Yeah,
Hotfix day after, yeah, that's acceptable.
hardly screwed up.
Yeah, and the voice comms were a little bit bugged. I don't know if they fixed it yet.
Voice comms, matchmaking, and performance under certain circumstances goes down. I don't know why, but it just happened with 1.5. But those are the only 3 things I can think about that are
Probably
negative
related to
about
the
this
core.
patch.
Yeah, it's probably related to the comms issue. It's the only problem with this game is that they find a lot of stuff that's clogging stuff up further down the pipe. There you go, Rivera's dog has made it finally.
Oh,
He's not supposed to be in the sofa.
No, but Danny, that sounds kind of awfully familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah. We get to hear that a lot.
The dog, yeah.
It's when
If
she
you would
starts telling it off in Icelandic, that's when it gets really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes just talk to him, forget to mute my mic, or the button won't work. Like now I don't have the button on it because it's linked to my PS3. So sometimes I press it and they don't go, and then start talking to him, and then it gets weird.
Oh, Leo, so you touched on a point at the beginning about orbitals not being as common.
well, what I thought when I saw the more war points, essentially what these changes amounted to, but I was worried that it would make orbitals
Orbitals all day, every
extremely
day.
Yeah, it was, but that didn't happen, so it was great. It didn't break things.
I have noticed that there are more orbitals now, and we have started doing more Eve side support because of that.
There's more orbitals, but
Yeah.
I don't
Before-
like the player reaction isn't what I expected it to be.
Yeah. I think it's the squads that are much more organised now. The game is actually beginning to award people for being organised, so that if you've got a guy in there with a scanner, if you've got a guy in there that's to revive people, if you've got a guy in there that's got a repair tool, then you are going to get the war points together. And it's not 9 times out of 10 whenever I've been in a squad where we're like that. You know, we've got individuals. Rivera's a good one of them. That'll get a war point. That'll get a bombardment just by themselves.
I think it's not so much that there are more war points, but I mean the groups that, like kind of what Danny was saying, the groups that are going to get those orbitals are going to use them more tactically. So.
Yeah. I was actually using a 2-person squad the other day, and we got an orbital, and we almost got another one. And I was the only one who dropped the orbital on my side of the team, and I killed like 10 people or something in it almost. So, and I was just spamming uplinks and nano hives and wrapping all of the blueberries. So that was the only thing I was doing. I think all of my kills were mostly the orbital.
That's something you can't really do as much as well, actually, is just spam everything. Because those 5 points do rack up eventually.
Yeah, like I say, the game is getting to a place now where you can actually begin to see the value in working as a team. Whereas before it was a bit, Street Fighter 2. You just bash buttons and hopefully something would work. But now it's, you're actually getting together. We're getting requests in D-Uni for outsiders to come in and see the way we set up squads for PC matches. Rivera was telling me about that last night. We've got people coming in asking about that to see how we do things, and then they can pass that on. Because we seem to do quite, again, I'm always hesitant to say stuff like this because I think it's just an open invitation to attackers. But we seem to do okay in PC matches. I mean, they're admittedly training ones, and we got tier levels in, but we win more than we lose.
Helps when you have 1,000 people to pull from.
Well, yeah, that's true. But there are 1,000 people that are keen to learn how to play the game, so we always try and get new players into the PC matches, and we always try and schedule matches so at the best times of the weekend and stuff like that, so people that don't. It's not always the same guys that are in there day in day out. You'll find if you join a typical PC match that we have maybe 4 or 5 of our top guys controlling the squads, and then the rest are all newbies. You know, we just get them in. And particularly if it's a tier 1, a tier 2 training match with rules in place that we've already established, we get a lot of new players doing that. Just coming in with the free fits even, and they get a good taste of it. If they're using the free fits as well, they get a good decent amount of ISK as well from the clones. So works out all well for everyone, really.
Speaking of PC, do you want to move on, Gimbal?
I was wanting to wrap up and get this corporation section done, but if you just want to go for that last thing about PC.
No, I was kind of segueing for you.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Getting into PC battles has changed due to corporation roles.
And I'll let Danny talk about the corporation roles because I think this is the part he really liked about the patch. So there are now 4 roles you can give out: accountant, personal director, terrestrial combat officer, and terrestrial logistics officer. Has this made your life really easy or much easier?
Oh, made a start already dishing them out. To be perfectly honest, the main role that I've been using is the personnel manager. So that takes off because we've got 6 directors in the uni, and up until this patch, those 6 people, including myself, were the guys that were having to accept all the applications. And while they were doing that, they could be doing other stuff. And also, the other part of the process for bringing in the corp roles was the fact that they discovered what was making the member list take so long to load up. If they were going to do roles, it would be pointless if you had to wait 3 minutes for the member list to load up every time. So that in itself, just making it so that a 1,000 member list can download in less than a second, is a huge help. Because when you give people directorship, they can quickly find people in the list now, and they can give them money. If you've got a personnel manager, for instance, that's also got access to the corp wallet, you've now got a personnel manager that can give out wages as well. You don't need too many roles. You only need the 4 or 5 we've got at the moment, and you can use the combination of those roles in order to pretty much give anyone a specific role that's going to work well in Dust. You don't need too many roles because we've not got a lot to do in Dust yet. But now that they've got them in place, they can add to them. But they've made our life easier, and they're going to make the life of anyone that's wanting to start up a corporation so much easier as well. The problem is with a lot of the corps that we've had over the year, they've risen and they've fallen. They've broken up, is because it's hard to run a corporation of any size, and you need people to delegate. And obviously we've got the security issue involved, and the fact that you had to make someone a director just so they could accept applications was just a nonsense. It was just stupid. Now you've actually got something you can do that for. So if it makes it easy for a corp of our size, it's going to make it easy for any corp of any size. That's how I see it. And I know they're going to be doing some more work on the corp roles, but towards the end of the year. That might be something to do with the player trading that CCP Praetorian mentioned in the interview that he did on this week on PlayStation Network. Because obviously, if we're going to start doing the player trading, they're going to have to change the inventory system. If they're going to change the inventory system, it means it's not a huge leap to go from that to giving the corporation an inventory system. So they're going to have to. That's possibly what the logistics role is going to be used for as well, not just the PC and the clone sales, but also for the controlling of corporate assets as well. So it all leads up. It's all gathering pace. I'm liking the direction it's going.
The interesting thing about the logistics officer, I noticed this in the patch notes. There's this weird thing between the combat officer and logistics officer. Like, the combat officer can't actually initiate attacks, yet the logistics officer can, which to me was a little counterintuitive, but it makes sense to divvy up the roles that way. But
yeah, you don't want
You don't want
to give too many people. You don't want any one role to be more powerful than the other role, apart from maybe director. But by having the roles that they've split it up in, you can give someone roles that's almost as powerful as a director, but they've got no control over at one particular aspect that you don't want them to have anything to do. So I mean, there's 16 ways you can change the roles to. So you can have one person do A, B, if you've made the roles, numbered them A, B, and C, and D. You go A, B, you can change it around so you can filter them to how you want them in your corporation. So it's not just, not just the 4 roles that people are fixated on. It's actually the combinations of the 4 roles that you can play around with as well.
I'm just glad we haven't had the legacy issues with Eve and corporation roles that you have to have a minor or a major in corporate law in order to understand what they do. The roles descriptions are very straightforward.
Yeah.
And you can instantly understand what they're about, as opposed to Eve, where you need an encyclopedia to figure out what does what.
Well, that leads on to a conversation that I had with, I think it was Nullarbor, it might have been Fox4, either one of them. When they were talking about the corporation roles at FanFest, they were speaking to the Eve developers about it, and there's a lot of cross interaction between them at the moment, because I believe the Eve side are going to be looking quite heavily at the corporation roles and streamlining them, because they're all based on this legacy code business, and it's one of those things they want to get rid of and streamline, and they're taking tips actually from those 514 guys, it's like D&D roles and stuff like that. They're streamlining a little bit, I think. So there's a bit of cross-pollination of ideas going on between Dust and Eve. That's True Grit, because obviously they're based in Reykjavik, whereas most of the Dust guys are based in Shanghai. So it's working out. It's going to work out well for the Eve as well, I think.
Cool. I guess finally is bug fixes and polish, and I guess the main one of these is melee exploits, no longer a thing.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a good thing. I also want, the rendering fixes have also helped, because
yeah.
Now if you're sniping at an extreme range, you don't run into rendering issues quite as often.
And that's getting improved in 1.6 as well, I think. There's more improvements on the rendering coming there.
I hope so. I mean, there are still pop-ups of installations and all that. If you haven't looked in that direction, and then you look back, they're not there, and suddenly...
Yeah, I noticed some things still take a while to render. Things like I've been walking towards an installation, and I can see chest-high walls appear as I get closer.
Yeah.
I could have shot someone at that range as well, yeah.
Into something that hasn't rendered.
Problem so much, I think, on my end, because I was a bit flash one month, and I replaced the hard drive in the PS3 with a solid state one.
SSD does help.
I think it does. I don't seem to get the pop-up. They're not as immediate, the pop-ups. And when you're actually looking around at terrain close to you and you see the textures, they're almost instantaneous. You know, they're there. So there is a definite improvement in Dust for a solid-state hard drive. I'm not saying everyone should go and get a solid-state hard drive. I'm just saying that there is a tangible difference in it. And also, when I got the solid-state hard drive for a test, I deleted Dust completely from the system, re-downloaded it, which took as long as it normally did, but the installation on it was just ridiculous. I think it was installed and up and running in less than a minute. It's one of those things. If you're thinking about doing it and you've got the cash and it's not going to hurt you, then I would do it.
Sounds like a good investment then.
Yeah,
Though
it's an
I
investment.
wish it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, and it also helps you with other games as well.
Another thing I like about the bug fix is the RDVs are smarter now. Like
Still
I
not
have
that smart though.
A little bit.
Well, I mean, there's not much you can. I mean, they're still relatively stupid, but I haven't seen nearly as many problems with them as before, where they drop tanks on LAVs and that sort of thing.
I mean, with the RDV thing, it's funny and sad at the same time. You don't know if you want to cry or if you want to laugh. What happened? My most recent experience with those was I called in a dropship, and he was hovering. The RDV was hovering in like 50 meters height and dropped it from there. Shield was gone, and the dropship bounced off the ground and went into this position. And meanwhile, I was walking towards it because I wanted to get in, but then because it got into this position, I got under it, and then it settled down on me again. Wow!
Yeah.
That's like what I mean when I say you don't know if you want to laugh or if you want to cry.
It's how Scotty the AI exacts his vengeance.
Yeah, the little
All praise Scotty.
Yeah, I had a pretty funny moment with the LAV yesterday in the PC battle. I called in 2 LAVs so we could get to the other side, and it dropped it, I think, about 7 times.
Oh, I've had that one.
Oh yeah,
I never could get
glitches
through
out.
it, and it almost smashed like 2 of my guys because I was like, okay, you guys get this one, I will wait for the next one and come after you guys, and it just wouldn't drop. I was like, okay, I'll just fix this. I jumped in it and I backed out, and then suddenly I jumped out of it, and then it was like up again, and I was like, what the hell is going on?
That's the one where
So-
it goes like up and down, right?
Yeah, no, it dropped it, and then it went back up, and then it went back down. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
lag or something. It was just hilarious. It was a serious mess, so I just had to mute myself because I was laughing so much. It's
Yeah, I
kinda
had that.
good.
I had that happen. I was in queue behind that LAV, so I was waiting for my one to come in after, and it was just, please drop this. I want to go fight.
Yeah, it stalled us for like, I think about good 2 minutes to get to the other objective because I was just like waiting for the drop.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees by now that the RDV shenanigans are a Dust trademark. By now, like.
Yeah, I had more fun with it than being annoyed. I had to mute myself. I was laughing way too much, and then I tried to tell the guys to get it, and no one of them had mics, and I was just like, this is just a nightmare.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get better at 1 point. But 1.5, I think they still have a lot of work to go. They still put them on roofs. That's the really annoying one. Like putting tanks up high, like.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. If I'm on a roof and I want to call in a railgun tank to snipe, I can do so. I'm
But
all
if
for that.
you're in a blaster tank, you want to be able to. You can't like destroy railings by driving into them. They're invulnerable. So like, You're on one of those. I can't remember. One of the new
Oh,
maps
you mean
has
that? You mean the small outposts with a stair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, very annoying. You can get out with an LAV, but a tank, no.
But yeah, I think that's us done for 1.5. I mean, overall, just good patch.
Yeah,
Yep.
Good,
really
solid
good one.
patch.
I
Yeah.
agree as well. I'm interested to see what 1.6
Kind of.
brings, though.
Yeah, I mean, Dust
Engine
kind of
improvements.
lives from the content the developer delivers over time, so...
Yeah, and like I say, I made the point in my blog today. This is content. What we got in 1.5. You got a squad finder. You got corporals, and people are going, "That's not content." You know, yes, it's not shiny. It doesn't kill people.
You're
But,
using the same words, but you mean different things.
yeah, you know, it is content, and it leads to other content. You know, there was stuff that needed to be fixed. So.
Alright, well, I'll leave that here. And I'll just cut the recording. So, thanks everybody for watching part one, I should say. We'll be moving on to other news and stuff like that in part two. So, we'll be back in just a sec.